when you start a new band, you're treating it kind of like it's like a startup, it's like a company.
Yeah.
So I'm paying a lot of attention to how much money we're putting into it and trying not to like sink myself into too much debt, but also trying to make sure that, what's coming out is exciting and has quality and has value to it. And, every week that passes, I'm seeing all the numbers, I'm seeing the subscriptions going up, I'm seeing the likes going up. So I know we're doing something right now.
Welcome back to a brand new episode of Innersleeve, the podcast taking a behind-the-scenes look at all things music. I'm Cassius Morris. Strange times this week, Joe. I gotta say, man, this has been a wild one.
Everything is strange times, man. All this freaking Spotify, Joe Rogan versus this guy versus your aunt. It's nuts, man.
Feels like we're in a weird fever dream some days. Do you feel that?
Kind of. A bit of like Groundhog Day mixed with fever dreams for sure. Like stuff that I never thought I'd see this happen, and it's happening,
No doubt. There's a ton of stuff to get into on this episode, but before we jump into it, our podcast for this week is with none other than title holder, also known as Matt Sullivan, and he's an awesome solo artist from New York City.
He was great, man. When that came across my feed, like as a submission to SoundMojo, and it's like I instantly heard, like that's how I am, right? As soon as I hear the quality and like if it just moves me right away, I'm like, oh, this is legit. This is really good, like ska, pop punk kind of stuff, which isn't personally one of my favorite genres or something that I've really ever dived into, but like over the years you've heard, right, with the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, and like you've heard that kind of ska, vibe in music and stuff. So I thought they were really great, and I asked him to come on the show, and like as everyone will see, he's delivered pretty good, man. Like some from the artist's perspective and indie artist perspective of like taking ads, paying for promotion and stuff, and like even just his approach to how to get his musicians, how to do his videos. I think this would be a good one for a lot of indie artists to see like how someone else is investing in themselves.
The battle rages on between Spotify, Neil Young, and Joe Rogan. Joe, I mean, how long is this going to go? You know what I mean? That's maybe the first thing I'm wondering.
It's only been 2 weeks. It's only been 2 weeks.
But man, I mean, that's a pretty long battle when it comes to, something like this. But Neil Young taking his sort of gripe with Spotify past Rogan and actually to the employees. Is that right?
Yeah, and he even said, Rogan's not your problem, man. It's like Daniel Ek, CEO, because obviously, it's not about, he mentions it right here, the goals stated by Ek are about numbers, not about art or creativity. So it's funny, like, he just like, he'll say it'll eat up your soul, if you work at Spotify, which, hey man, people have to pay the bills. We get it and stuff. But I mean, like, it's just funny to hear him. And like, then they put this picture and it looks angry, and like, but I'm impressed, to be honest, I wasn't expecting so much of a movement that he started, right? I wasn't expecting that. I figured people were going to say, he's just complaining, old guy, boomer, whatever, this type of stuff. And then you start to see Joni Mitchell and the other people follow suit, and they're like, okay. And then you realize a lot of the people that listen to these guys are huge fans, like 50, 60 years of these artists, right? So they're starting to pull out from Spotify. So Spotify's taken a hit financially with some of the listeners. And what's interesting is they also mentioned in the article that people actually are discovering him. His plays went up and even album sales went up.
So his ratings are up, and again, that's something else. Like you mentioned, not anticipating how this went. I didn't anticipate this either. I mean, I guess all press is good press, but I figured it would make him look bad and not good. But when you think about it, some people may have never heard of Neil Young, sad to say, and maybe this was their first time hearing the name.
It's almost like, doesn't it feel like this? I don't want to say he's from the 60s, but the whole 60s, right, with the freedom and the Woodstock and all that peace and love and stuff, and it's
standing
like that
up,
era,
picking sides and being heard,
and taking on today. Like today's kind of crowd. But what do you think? I'm curious to know what you think. Like of Rogan, right? Have you watched his apologies or heard not apologies, but his statements that he's made and stuff?
I haven't seen the latest ones, and that's one of the things that is actually interesting about this situation is that Neil Young seems to have unearthed different controversies with Rogan that are beyond the whole Spotify thing. So I can't comment on that, but I mean, do you think Rogan is going to see the other side of this, or do you think that this is maybe more damaging than we could have expected?
I think it's more damaging than we could have expected, or I could have expected, but I think he's going to come out nice, okay, because like I mean he seems genuine. I've watched his statements and stuff, and I think he comes from a good place, you know. But I mean he has to realize that there's a responsibility when you have 11 million listeners per episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
that's
that's
a lot.
It's more than CNN. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's crazy. So you have a responsibility. So yeah, I think it should be more less like, all right, you want to come on my show, and they come on the show, and then like, you know, nothing is, or a couple of things are researched. I guess you when it comes to these type of guests, there should be a little bit more of fact checking, researching, or you know, stuff like in real time, or at least in advance of what we're going to talk about, you know? So I think that maybe it'll change there, but I think he's going to be okay. I think Neil Young will be fine. I think
Yeah.
Spotify is going to have some bruises, because not
Spotify
only
is.
are people gunning for Spotify, it's like they're just, you know, ready for it. But I think competition, like Apple right away, as soon as this stuff went down, Apple put ads about promoting about Neil, we're the home for Neil Young, and
Nice.
you know, their stuff went up. So it's like
That's very Apple.
yeah, competition's gonna like be fierce, you know. So I think
It's nuts too, because I kind of feel like Spotify is dropping the ball here with their continued sort of apologizing, because it seems like on one hand they're like, you can keep pushing against us, we're going to stand our ground, but
Yeah.
once you touch a certain sore spot, it's like they'll kind of back down. And since they've started to back down a bit, and I mean, I'm curious if you've noticed this, it seems like people are starting to throw more stones all of a sudden, because they realize, oh, we can maybe get to them.
Yeah, I think so. And like, you know, Daniel Ek said, it's not Rogan the problem kind of thing. You know, it's like, it's the content and stuff. So they're not like going after Rogan themselves, but they did delete 70 episodes, which I thought, when I didn't think that would happen, because there's like, it's like kind of sort of, we stand by you, but then they deleted a whole bunch of episodes, which I think is like, man, where does that end now? You've just opened a can of worms.
Bringing
now.
the total to about 100 episodes, because for anybody who didn't realize, when his shows were first loaded, they took about 30 shows off. So now we're looking at just about 100 episodes missing.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere 113 or so up to now, you know, and stuff.
Wow.
It's nuts. It's just like we said at the beginning, it's almost like Twilight Zone-ish, you know, like a fever dream kind of thing.
And Rumble, which is a service, I don't know if you heard about this, offering Rogan $100 million to switch to their service, which was a pretty big move.
And it even says this is legit, not a joke or something. At the bottom of the CEO signed the letter, you know. I wonder. You never know. Will he jump ship? Can he jump ship? I don't know. I'm sure there's like, he's tied in for a few years maybe, you know. Unless
and
they
I mean,
say,
just
hey,
in
man,
case Rumble's watching, we'll take it. Like, if Rogan's not available, we're obviously the next best. So
yeah, seriously. But I'm saying like maybe Spotify could see this as a point of like, okay, we'll let you get out of your contract. We want to just, you know, keep going with it. But I mean, that would probably make it even worse for Spotify.
I think it would. I hope they don't. You know, I wish they would just stand their ground, because I mean, especially some of the shows they took down. Some of them are very confusing. Like, it's not even really with controversial people, and it seems like anything that could even make them kind of seem in a certain light now, they're just kiboshing, which is, I don't know how smart that is.
I don't know. I didn't go down the rabbit hole of checking out who they deleted or whatever. I just knew there was Maynard from Tool that was an episode that was removed. I mentioned that because I actually watched that when it was aired on YouTube.
Right. I didn't know they
back in
took
the
that
day.
down. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's the only one I really saw, like in terms of a name, but I didn't go check. But 70, it's a lot, man. But I mean, yeah, it's 12 years of podcasting, you know?
The Foo Fighters have taken a step into the Metaverse, and it looks like this is going to be going down surrounding Super Bowl Sunday, which is exciting probably for music fans and football fans.
Well, you know, like, I guess they've conquered the earth, man. So, like, they have to go. The next logical step is either outer space or Metaverse, right? So they're hitting the Metaverse.
Now, what exactly is the Metaverse for people who don't know? Because I understand that, like, it's probably something that we should understand, but a lot of people may not be up on this yet.
Well, the Metaverse is basically an online universe, right? Where you can buy property now, you can play games like Roblox and, you know, a ton of other platforms. You know, Decentraland is another one. Actually, it was last week, it just reminded me that I watched a concert in the Metaverse. Like, not a concert,
really?
but like a DJ party. Yeah. Someone I befriended on Twitter is a Metaverse artist, and he posted like, I'm going to be performing So I clicked, connected my wallet. Next thing I know, I'm looking for this club. I'm in the club, and there's like just like avatars. You make your custom avatar, and there's people dancing. And he was spinning some really good music. It was an Italian DJ, and it was like, wow, this is my first dip into the Metaverse. You know, I was like, It's cool. It's interesting.
Did you have goggles on, or how did that work?
No, that was literally on my computer screen. I ain't there yet. But
we're getting there.
Eventually. Yeah. So it's kind of like, it's just like another place to go, but online, digitally. There's so many, I wouldn't even be able to explain all the possibilities that you can do and stuff. But it's interesting that they're in there. They're doing the Super Bowl. They're going to be playing the show. I think it's right after the show ends, they said here. But like, I thought this was interesting because it's like it's like it's another one off on the Foo Fighters bucket list, because playing in front of 70,000 people isn't enough, right? That's let's go play millions of people
your appetite grows, I guess, at a certain point, no matter how big the meal becomes. And it's sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that like it's so funny because they mentioned here like we've pretty much done it all, right? They've made their movie, they make movies, they've played in garages for fans and stuff, doing a promo tour. They've recorded their album in their own garage on tape with Butch Vig. I mean, like, it's fun to see like that these guys, like, can he do no wrong? This guy, like Dave Grohl, can he do no wrong?
That's kind of how it seems. I mean, the thing is, though, he doesn't try to do wrong. I mean, I think that's why people love him. And I know it might sound cheesy, but the guy just seems genuinely interested in making the fans happy, making a product that the people will find value from, and he just continues to deliver year after year. It's pretty amazing.
I know, it's incredible. And I saw something last week, a little snippet. I don't know if it was like a Instagram reel or like a TikTok where people were asking for autographs and he was signing just before like leaving. I don't know if he was leaving a venue or something, and just before going to the truck, and he was saying, "No, man, no more, man. Like it's remember Taylor Hawkins? We spoke about it. He was charging for autographs, but he was saying,
and
no
I think
more,
I know what you're talking about here too.
Only if you donate to charity or something. You were saying,
so that's really something cool. Like that.
Yeah. So at first I was thinking, oh come on, don't ruin it for me. And then, okay, saved it. It's
and
like
then
the
Grohl
Rock,
ran away at the end of that latest video, right?
That's it. Yeah, exactly. It's like the
guys.
Rock,
Guess what?
Like,
runs away.
People just love the Rock, and like Dave Grohl, same thing, man. It's just like one of those characters that like seems to be, hopefully, like Keanu Reeves. Let's hope nobody cancels him, for whatever reason.
Oh my gosh, I'm praying. We protect that man at all costs. He has our support. Now, there's just been word that Michael Jackson's family has a biopic in the works representing the late singer and his life. Now, this would be co-produced by Graham King, who, if you don't know, was behind the Bohemian Rhapsody biopic. He also had, I think, production credits on The Departed. I mean, overall, this is sounding pretty promising, Joe. I mean, if they did find the right casting, it could be pretty decent.
I'm definitely interested. Like, I mean, obviously I grew up with like for the second, the solo part of Michael Jackson's career and not the Jackson 5 and stuff. But I mean, like, yeah, I'd definitely love to see this.
How do you think they would find the guy to play Michael? Like, do you think they're standing out maybe in Vegas where they go find the impersonators? Like, how do you think, because this is probably the toughest part that could, be cast in a music biopic.
Good point, but like same thing with Freddie Mercury. Did you think the Rami Malek? I think he was an excellent choice. Like phenomenal. I think it just worked, right? So I don't know, man. Hollywood always surprises you. I'm sure they're gonna find someone. Actually, the new Pam and Tommy, I haven't watched it yet, but like I mean, I've seen the actress and she looks like Pam. Like, holy, wow, how do you find these people, man? Like, so crazy.
It is insane.
No doubt that they're gonna find someone interesting to do Michael.
Now, how deep do you think this is gonna get? Like, do you think this is gonna be the story we've never heard about Michael, maybe inside things from the family, or is this just going to be this typical stock biopic?
I hope not, because like the relationship with his father was really severe, right? Like I think it was really hard on them, and like making
his whole childhood. I'd love to see, how that went.
It. Yeah, there's that. And there's a bit of a mention, like we're not sure, it's unsure yet if they're going to mention anything about the allegations and how they're going to bring that up, So I think personally, if they don't mention it or it's not shown, then it becomes like a fictional movie almost, like
right.
They don't have to like, say that he was guilty or not guilty or whatever you may think, but just like it has to sort of be, it's the story,
That's the thing, and no matter how they handle it, like it even show it from the perspective of somebody trying to set him up. I think they definitely just have to show what he's known for. I'd also like to see some of these strange misconceptions about him. Like, did he really sleep in a cryo chamber? How did he feel about these rumors about him? Like, this is the stuff I hope we could see. So definitely high hopes for this biopic. And who do you think they should make a biopic on next, Joe? Because I'm kind of saying. And I think we talked about this before, but I'm thinking Zappa needs one.
Oh yeah, Zappa
Like we
for
really
sure.
need a good Zappa portrayal.
Pink Floyd. I would love like Hollywood or something like on Pink Floyd, because you Sid Barrett, right? Another guy who
Oh yeah,
was
that'd be
high on
really
stage.
cool.
Like apparently, like he was just there, and like so high, he was just there standing while the band was playing, and he didn't know what to do. Like, and that's why they got Gilmore to help with guitar and play live, and then Gilmore also sang, and then eventually he just didn't show up anymore, or. So yeah, I'd love to see not Sid Barrett himself, because I mean that would probably be a movie on its own, but like I'd love to see a Pink Floyd movie, because that's an interesting story too, because like that whole first aspect of Pink Floyd and the Pink Floyd sort of that everybody knows, right? 70s and 80s, and then Roger Waters leaving, like the fact that a Montreal fan or people will spit on him, or he spit on a fan and then made the wall. Anyways, I'm going on and on and on, but Pink Floyd.
There's a lot to cover though.
Yeah.
So now we're going to jump into the interview portion of this podcast. As promised, we're joined by title holder, also known as Matt Sullivan, depending on the circle you're running in or that he's running in at the time. An awesome artist who's involved in the sort of ska, jazz. I mean, again, I struggle to sort of define this type of music.
Well, that's good then. That's fine. Pretty
decent. Okay, pretty dead on.
It's okay.
We talk about...
I've gotten tired of like, maybe when I was younger, I was like, this is thrash metal, this is speed metal, this is death metal, this is house music. It gets so annoying, and it's like, it's just music. Okay, maybe you can do an umbrella term, right? It's like ska is like reggae a bit, with like rock or pop, like, I don't know.
No doubt.
It's
a big fusion, and it gets, especially when the music is very eclectic, it gets confusing. But Matt was definitely an awesome guest to chat with, and just really giving us an inside look at sort of the different scenes in and around the Manhattan area, which is obviously, we talk about being eclectic. We talk about an awesome live show that they recently had, how he makes his music in his home studio, and much, much more. So we won't hold you guys any longer, and we'll catch you guys afterwards. We're back with another awesome guest right here on Innersleeve. It's a pleasure to be joined by Matt Sullivan of Title Holder. Matt, what's going on?
How are you? It's great to be here.
Awesome.
It's great to have you, man. The studio's looking good over there. Maybe tell us, is this your home studio or is this a remote location?
Please, yeah. I do what I can.
Cassius, actually, before we get started, Cassius, could you name any of those units?
Oh boy, it's tough. I mean, I probably could with a closer look.
Yeah. I know I could spot a Kemper anywhere away. I see the tuner, the Korg. Is it a Korg rack tuner?
An old Fender tuner, yeah.
Oh, Fender.
More.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah,
and then I've got a Universal Audio Apollo 8 that I just do all my demos. I've got, a vocal mic always normal to it. I got a bass guitar and a keyboard plugged in and a little drum machine over here.
Yeah, you're always ready to go. That's what the thing is. When inspiration hits, man, it's like everything's got to be plugged in and ready to go.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing for me. Like I really made sure, shout out to Sweetwater for letting me do a payment plan, because I was like, I need 8 inputs at all times. So like when I'm thinking of something, I don't have to plug stuff in and then figure out why I'm not getting a signal or why this microphone's buzzing for some reason today. So yeah.
And then the idea is gone.
Exactly. And then I have a voice memo where I'm like, I hate this. This is awful.
Yeah. The voice memos always get so full. I know you started Title Holder not all that long ago. It was a sort of a 2020 project. I'm wondering when did the music sort of come in for you?
I mean, it was really on the cuff. I lost my job March 2020. Pandemic hit, and it was kind of a situation where I was kind of like sitting around the apartment and I'm like trying to figure out the next move. I wasn't playing in a band currently at the time. And I just kind of like jokingly had said to my fiance, I was like, I should just start a ska punk band. She's like, you won't. And I went, all right, challenge accepted. And I just, I went into the studio and I just kind of listened to some of like the stuff I grew up on, like some old Muddy Muddy Boss Tones tracks, some old Real Big Fish songs, like stuff that I was listening to when I was, 13, 14, just like getting into pop punk and ska and that kind of stuff. And I just kind of, I listened to a few tracks and I was like, I can write something that's kind of in this same like wheelhouse. And I made a couple demos here. At home, I just use Logic. I know I'm not doing anything too crazy with Pro Tools over here. And I showed them to her and she was like, these are actually pretty good. You should keep doing that. I went, all right, fair enough. Let's go. So that was kind of like genesis of Title Holder. It came out of me kind of turning over a new leaf during the pandemic.
I'm curious to know, what did you do before? Like what style or genre?
I mean, I was a big pop punk guy. I always wanted to start a ska band, but I never knew horn players. I never like had those people in my arsenal. So I mean, I was in a band called My Kind of Fire that was kind of a pop punk act, and we did some big shows around New York and East Coast from 2016 to 2018. I played in like some easy core bands, hardcore with in a major key.
Okay.
So I did that for a little bit. And I mean, back in 2010, I lived in Boston and I played in like a metal band that wanted to be August Burns Red. Like that was all I wanted to sound like, so just all the chugs and all that stuff. I mean, I'm into everything. So that was, my previous acts were all kind of leading up to this for sure.
Okay. Was it more so one of those things where you were playing in bands at first, or was it less serious, or was it something that you knew one day you wanted to maybe have your own thing and really pursue it?
I mean, it was always for fun, but every chance that you took it seriously. It was when I was 15, I knew I was going to get signed and get a record deal. I was like,
this
is the best music I ever wrote. So it's like, moving throughout the years, it was always fun. It was always something that was a hobby, but then, you start getting on bigger shows every now and again and you get a couple big paydays and you're like, oh shit, okay, maybe I could do this.
Yeah.
And just learning throughout, bands that are more established than you and getting on those shows and having a chance, every now and again to rub elbows with somebody who's like on the next level and see how they operate their band, not just as a hobby or just for fun, but like these guys are doing it as a business. Oh crap, how do I do this? So, I mean, I've been taking notes for a long time and I think I'm finally doing it right.
I think today with the internet, how it's changed everything. I think like even myself, going back to when I was playing in a band, I was very serious, but I didn't get a lot of opening slots with bigger guys so that you can understand and learn those type of things. Where I think musicians are more educated in terms of the business today than let's say like 15 years ago.
Oh yeah. I mean, it never hurt, like, with the Rolodex of everybody's information now online, like, you don't have to like go to, you don't have to go to a show across the country to meet that guy who you look up to. You can find him in some corner of the internet. And if you get his email and he hits you back, like now you guys know each other.
Exactly. It can be quick. And even with those bigger guys, like, the major label guys, like they probably won't answer, but they might, so you can definitely reach out and it makes it feasible. How about finding the horn players and the different sort of players that you were talking about? Was that easier with the internet or was it maybe a challenging thing?
Well, so the story behind that is I go to my buddy Nick Braziz. He plays in a band called Man Overboard. And he's a recording engineer and a record producer in South Jersey at this place called the Gradwell House. And I've been recording with him every project I've had since 2017. I've brought to him to record. Just I trust his, everything that he does. I love, like, all of his suggestions really just have elevated my music. And I'm always excited, when I've got like a crappy demo, I export it and I text him. I'm like, yo, check this out. And he's like, dude, I'm busy, leave me alone. But I hit Nick up and I was like, hey, so like, I want to bring these songs to the studio within the next couple months. Anybody that could play horns on this? I need a sax, a trumpet, and a trombone. And he sent these demos out to a couple guys and they all immediately hit him back. So the gentleman who I had on saxophone, his name's John James Ryan. He plays saxophone in a band called Keep Flying. Matt Stewart, who is the trumpet player in the band Streetlight Manifesto, and Dave Heck, who is the trombone player for Aaron West in the Roaring Twenties. He reached out to all these guys for me on my behalf, said, hey, my buddy Matt is good people. Listen to these songs. If you want to record on the record, like, he needs people. They all said, this is awesome. We're down. They showed up on the day of the recording and we spent maybe like 6-7 hours. They did all the horns in the live room simultaneously. So we set up
Wow.
three baffles. They listened to the horn parts. Like I have like a little MIDI keyboard, and I would just play like what I was hearing, and they'd all go, okay. They would practice it twice, and then the third time was like the take that was on the record. And so they played everything together. It was really crazy. It was so cool to be in the room with so many talented, creative people, and like, you know, who are all, in my opinion, way more established than me, and have them all like be like, yeah, this is great, man. These songs are awesome. And I was like, ah.
Yeah, I always find like I've recorded horns in a funk band situation, and I always find as soon as like everything sounds great, and then as soon as you add the horns, man, instant smile, and it's like, wow, next level, right?
Yeah,
It's like it brings the whole thing together.
Yeah, I did actually on our YouTube channel, on the title holder YouTube, I did a behind the scenes of one of the songs that we recorded, actually the first one, Animal. We set up tripods all over the studio and just recorded the entire experience. So you can go on there and you can actually watch like the making of that entire record that we did back in February of 2021. And it's got all like the, you know, behind the scenes footage of us,
That's awesome.
fooling around and having fun in the studio. And it's cool to see the space and gives you that picture of what we were doing when we were doing it.
Man, that's super cool. I mean, I wonder if it was a challenge to direct, so to speak, like all these different musicians on different instruments. I mean, was it something that felt overwhelming at all, or were they so good at what they do that they just sort of picked it up and ran with it?
Oh, they're pros. They're all total pros. Between John and Matt and Dave, I mean, we would just go in the control room. We would listen to the part that I had on the demo, and the only thing that would ever take longer is when the guys were like, hey, that's really cool, but how about I do this? And he'd like, play something like on a different level of cool, he'd like just totally dress up a part. And I'd be like, oh, wait, that walk up is way cooler than me just like gliding to a note, like, something like that. So I totally encouraged that. And every time that they had offered their input, like, hey, this part sounds cool, but what if I do this? I was like, yep. I'll just sit here. So it was a lot of fun to let them kind of let loose, certain parts. I would write harmonies on for like the trombone line, and a lot of times John on sax, he can just rip a harmony by ear without even like trying. So he would just start playing a harmony, and I would go, yep, go, keep it, yep, that's good, great.
They just know where to go, man. Like they listen and like they just know where to go. That's why you not hired or whatever. If you hired them, that's what you want, right? You want their it's smooth and it's quick.
It worked out good though, because we did I did work it out with them, because we didn't really have that much of a relationship beforehand. So we worked out a per song rate for all of them. And then after the session, John and Dave, Matt is so insanely busy with Streetlight Manifesto. Like, I know he would be a part of it if he had time, but John and Dave, they both came up to me afterwards and they're like, dude, this was a lot of fun. Like, moving forward, we don't want money from you. Like, we're in the, as long as you want us in it. And I was like,
wow,
awesome.
Sick. Yeah, I was like, I just got a ska dream team now.
I know.
It's a dream come true.
Have you performed with them live? Because I know recently you did some gigs. Yeah.
We just had a New Year's Day show at Amityville Music Hall in Long Island. And we didn't do trumpet live. So we just had trombone, sax, and then the core band, 2 guitar, bass, drums, with everybody singing backup vocals when they weren't, blowing into a horn or something. And it was a blast. It was a really, really good show for New Year's Day, especially, with the COVID situation right now. Everybody, you had to be completely vaxxed, and you had to be masked at all times. And we still had a good 60, 70 people come out in a small little club. So it was nice. A lot of fun, especially good for, a first show for this. And we were really happy, and we filmed the whole thing, and I've been blasting it all over social media to stay relevant every day,
Yeah, grinding.
Picturing New York, there must be so many different kinds of music. I mean, does it depend where you go in terms of what music is more prevalent in an area? Like, is Queens more of one type, or is it just all different kinds?
I think every hour of every day it changes, no matter where you are, I mean, the cool thing about being out here is how versatile it is. Like, there's you can play a show every night of the week if you want to. Whether or not it's really going to make sense that you're on the show is the big thing to think about. A lot of times when you get opportunities in Manhattan, the booking agents, they're just trying to fill slots based on how many people they think you can bring out. So a lot of times you play a Manhattan show and you're, an up and coming band. You're going to be on a bill with, as a ska punk guy, I'm going to be on a bill, with a dancer, with a spoken word thing, with a rap artist, and with a metal band. And it's fun and you make a lot of friends, but, sometimes it's worth getting in touch with some promoters and saying, hey, we want to put together this show that really makes sense and that can get like a big community in the rock scene, in the alternative scene, like around this show. Let's put a month's worth of promotion into this and get people excited. And those shows are always fun. But yeah, everybody from all walks of life is around here, and you can do whatever you want whenever you want. It's 10 years later and I still got a lot on my mind. I think about how I'm gonna make it out and only good time. Gotta feel it out on the open road. Gonna take it as far as it goes. It only took 10 years and I still got a lot on my mind.
Speaking of videos, we have three at the moment on SoundMojo. We have Animal, we have Empty Apartment, Signs, which is awesome because you're playing a Tony Hawk game, so it's really cool.
I've been getting ripped apart on the internet on that one. I'm not a good video game player, so that one I try to stay out of the comment sections now.
Yeah, that's it. So I just want to know, the videos are always great. They look good, they look fun, professionally done. So I'm just wondering, do you have any tips and tricks for other artists that are looking to how can I get a great video? How did you put, let's say, some of the stuff together?
Marry a really, really talented person who can help you with all of the production.
There you go.
So
get a good guy.
Yeah. Find yourself a partner who has a great camera and really knows how to design things. So my fiance Danielle, she has been doing a lot of the videos for us. Empty Apartment was all her. Signs was all her. We did that one at our apartment. Actually, Nick Braziz, he texts me one night and he's like, dude, you should you've been talking about getting your song in a Tony Hawk game. You should do a Tony Hawk video. And I went, okay, that's actually a really good idea. So we went out to we went on Amazon and I found a little HD 4K capture card, plugged it into the PlayStation, and I just recorded myself playing it. And then in this room right here, we just set up a camera. And I set up my phone on a tripod and played back the session of me playing it. So I just kind of mimed like I was doing it on camera. So it looks like I'm playing it all live, like it's a Twitch stream, but we did a little camera magic for that. Some of the other videos that we've done, I work with the gentleman named Sean Ageman, who has a company called Washed Up Media, and he's based out of Long Island. And he's done, he did Animal, which was the first one that we released, which was a little crazier in the cutting department and the editing department.
Yep.
Yeah, we try to keep as much as possible in house right now with, especially, with budgets and the lack of money that's really being made right now. We're treating this, you when you start a new band, you're treating it kind of it's like a startup, it's like a company.
Yeah.
So I'm paying a lot of attention to how much money we're putting into it and trying not to sink myself into too much debt, but also trying to make sure that, what's coming out is exciting and has quality and has value to it. And every week that passes, I'm seeing all the numbers. I'm seeing the subscriptions going up. I'm seeing the likes going up. So I know we're doing something right now.
100%. You just got to follow that sort of trajectory of where it's going up. And maybe it might be good for people to find out in terms of, being an independent artist, at your level. What do you find has been the most profitable part of this journey? Would you say it's the shows that's the most profitable, the YouTube videos, and where should artists really be focusing when they're looking for that?
Well, I mean, if we're talking money, I mean, obviously it's got to be shows. The biggest, it's just really hard right now with COVID. So I mean, I'm spending money on advertisements and Google ads and YouTube ads so that I can reach a bigger audience, and I'm seeing those numbers rise um, pretty steadily right now, which is super exciting. Every day is like, oh yeah, nice. But we played that first show and it was a nice we got a nice little recharge in the wallet department so that we could start putting more money into merchandise. That's the next big thing right now. So with that show in Long Island and getting a few $100s and selling half a dozen t-shirts that we literally New Year's Eve, my fiance and I, we went to a craft store and we bought like a dozen t-shirts and just started doing iron-ons because we're like, we can't go to a show without shirts. Like, people are gonna want
Making it happen, yeah.
We don't want to be the band that shows up and doesn't have anything on the merch table. So we're like, all right, we'll do some stuff. And we made a dozen shirts and we sold half of that inventory on that night. So it was nice to kind of recharge the bank account a little so that we can put it right back into the business.
That's cool, though. I think it's good for people to know because, there's so much. I think people don't know where to start when it comes to getting out there and promoting. Maybe about the promos also. I mean, have you found that videos that are organic, say on YouTube or TikTok, have done better? Or is it the actual Google ads and paid promotion that does better? Because, again, people are really not sure.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I look at it, and I mean, it was just a long time of me thinking that I can put a video, you're like, I know this song that I wrote is good. I know this video that I made is good. I'm going to put it out here and people are going to come to me. That doesn't happen. It doesn't really happen. People don't find you. I mean, the saying of like closed mouths don't get fed couldn't be more true in the music industry. And for all these different resources right now online to be available to you, and without you needing a business manager, without you needing an agent, like if you watch a couple YouTube videos or especially on TikTok, there's like 24 like music industry guru guys.
Exactly.
Where you can just subscribe to them and every day they're like, hey, you want to grow your following? Check this out. This is how you do it. And I sit there and just take notes on these guys. But I mean, the biggest thing that I could like compare it to, is when Apple puts out their new phone. How many times do you see their friggin' commercial on YouTube every time you're watching? Yeah. It's the phone is floating in your face. So it's like, what I tried to do is whatever my budget was in recording that song, I try to make the same budget for marketing it. If I'm spending $500 at the studio recording a song, mixing a song, mastering a song, I'm gonna at least put $500 into putting a paid Instagram ad, putting up a paid Facebook ad, putting up a paid YouTube ad once the video's done and polished. And then people are discovering it. And now you're kind of getting that back. It's not, we've been doing this right now for 5 months. And I'm slowly starting to see the snowball effect of I'm not, I don't have to like go as crazy on every single Facebook group right now and post my video. Do I still? Yeah, absolutely.
Doesn't hurt.
That was a big thing.
That's compound interest,
Right.
Yeah. Every single band that I want to play a show with, like that's on that next level, like for title holder, like dream shows, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, Less Than Jake, Real Big Fish. Like we want to be opening acts for those tours. I'm going into every single one of their Facebook groups, every single one of their fan groups, and just like once a week I'll do a, hey, check it out, if you are a fan of this, without trying to like totally oversaturate it and be like that annoying guy, but like because it's very easy to do that. You do it too many times.
It's a fine line.
Yeah, Matt Sullivan's in here, let's just mute him. But yeah, I think that marketing yourself is such a valuable way, and it really makes a difference between a band that is 2 years down the road is going to have a business model that's working for them rather than against them.
It's interesting because like a lot of musicians think, you're cheating when you're adding the, paying or that stuff. It's like you got to do it organic and stuff. But it's sort of like if you're playing hockey, you got to have a stick and you have to have certain tools in today. Because like, I mean, it's like everybody's releasing stuff every day, right?
It's a super competitive environment, and I mean, that's what kind of makes it exciting. Yeah. I've had a ton of friends tell me like, oh, you're just paying for plays. And they're like, no, that couldn't be more far from the truth. Like I'm not like paying for 20,000 views. I'm paying
which you can do.
Which you can do. But I've read about that. And if you do it, like if you try to buy views and stuff and plays on Spotify, they will shut your account down so fast. It's becoming a thing now. It'll screw up your algorithm so people can't naturally find you.
Yeah,
right.
Computers in a different country, and it has nothing to do with actual organic reach. So if you do try to take that route, it's going to mess up everything that you're doing with your account.
Speaking of,
I believe that.
Sorry, speaking of Spotify algorithm, how do you find in terms of like, do you use Spotify as just a listener as well?
Yeah.
How do you find it? Like, is it good? Like for you, like what it serves up to you in terms of stuff you don't know, you find it's like pretty good.
I think that Spotify's got a really, really good algorithm. I think like, on the music side of things, they're just in the same boat as like how good TikTok is with like noticing, if you're listening to these 10 bands, usually when they give you your daily mix, there's one or two bands in there that you've never heard of before that you're like, oh, this is awesome. I absolutely, in the past 10 years of being a Spotify member, I've discovered 2-3 dozen bands that through just Spotify when you let the radio station play. So I think they've done something right. They've got a good model as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, same here. Like every time I hit Discover tab, and it's like, wow, this is really good. Wow, this is really good. Like, yeah, okay. And I see that, like, they take obviously from what I've listened to yesterday or last couple of days, and like, so that's what I'm wondering. So like, at least we know as an artist that like your stuff is getting served to the right people, and like you don't want people to mess around with that algorithm like by paying and stuff. So that's,
I couldn't agree more.
It's so true. And it's a challenge too to keep it original, but because there's so many different ways to make ads, but at the same time, a lot of them get repetitive. So, I think adding some promos in there, it can make it stand out a bit too.
For sure.
Is playlisting still a thing? Like trying to hit playlists on Spotify?
It's huge right now. And not
probably bigger now.
Yeah. I mean, there's like dozens and dozens of websites now that are just like curator farms where you it's got everybody's credentials, and, you can reach out based on genre. If there's ones that make sense. I usually try to just reach out like organically. Like if I'm on Spotify or if I'm on Twitter, I'll search a hashtag, pop punk. And I'll just see, I'll go through the list and I'll see who's got a pop punk playlist, and I'll reach out to them and just say, hey, my name's Matt. I got this band, and I always kind of lead off with like a compliment. I'll be like, I saw your playlist. I love it. I'm following it. That X band, Y band, Z band, those bands are awesome. I think we'd be a really good fit. And usually when I do that, I'll get a pretty good response. If I reach out to like 10 playlists and cater a message that's very PC and very nice, and send them a compliment, I'll usually get a response back from at least 5 of the 10. They'll say, hey, thanks so much, yeah, we love your music, cool, we're gonna add you.
That's
the ones
solid.
I'm not really a fan of are so there's like a couple websites where you have to pay just to submit to a playlist, and I'm not really one that subscribes to that. I don't think you should pay for playlist placement, but that's just my personal opinion.
Because it's hard to tell how far it's going to go, right? I mean, it could be like a huge playlist, but it could just fall off too and go nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as advertisements. Of course, you pay for an advertisement to get it in front of a bigger audience, and I totally understand why people would pay for playlist placement, but it all depends. To each their own. If you've got that in your budget and that's something that's been working for you, who am I to tell you that it's wrong?
That's it. And plus, the way your approach is so much better because you're telling them, I listen to it. You're naming stuff in there that is relevant instead of just like getting a random DM. Yo, check my stuff out. Like
copy paste. Right?
Who are you, bro?
Right. I mean, and I 10 years ago that was me on Facebook. Hey, this is my band. I know you would like it. Copy paste, and then you're like you're looking at I'm looking at my old history of my going, why did I do that?
Face palming.
Yeah, okay. Nobody thought I was cool when I was doing that. No.
But
we all learn, man.
That's
exactly.
Yeah. And also it gives people a chance, like, you're actually making a connection with somebody, and there
Right.
could be a relationship down the road with somebody that could end up like coming out to a show and building it even like bigger.
I find myself in an empty apartment, looking at the walls around me. I find myself wondering what became of everyone that we used to see. And I can't forget all the moments that we shared. There'll always be a part of me.
The latest craze in music and pretty much, I don't know, the internet is crypto and NFTs. And I was just wondering, are you planning any NFTs? Do you understand it? Like, have you considered it?
I would say I've got like a quarter of my foot dipped into that pool. Every chance that I get, I watch a video on trying to figure it out. I haven't gotten into really like exploring what I can do with it right now with what we're doing with the band, but it definitely has been something that we've talked about, that we're thinking about, especially with the graphic designing stuff that we're doing. It totally feels like it fits the mold of what like all the cool NFTs that are out right now. So when there's more music on the horizon moving through 2022, it's something that we're thinking about, but I still got a lot of homework to do, and I want to make sure I make the right moves and work with the right crypto websites, because I think there's like a lot of them are based off of Ethereum, but I don't.
Right.
Besides that, like I gotta get a wallet and do the whole thing.
That's it. Yeah, and it moves so quick.
It really does. It's hard to tell like where that's going to go.
I admire everybody that's doing it. I feel like I just need a little more skin in the game before I can make it work for me.
Yeah, exactly. And also like what you can offer as value in your stuff to whoever's going to purchase an NFT, right? So it's like you want to be different, right? Give them something else, right?
I was thinking about just for 2022. We're going back into the studio in a couple months to make another EP or so. And that was an idea that was like, okay, yeah, we're putting a few $1,000s into the record. Maybe we can launch a Kickstarter, get some of this crowdfunded, and in crowdfunding it, that be one of the like things that is offered is like an NFT where you get 1% of the royalties of that song and that kind of stuff. So everybody has a stake in the ownership of what we're doing. You're on the ground floor of something. Yeah, and that's what people have been doing. That's what I've been reading about. So I'm just trying to make sure I do it right so that I don't screw it up.
The thing that's tricky with that, I was thinking about that a lot too, and people a lot of artists like to say, oh yeah, royalties, share royalties, but the problem is there's so many royalties. Which one are you going to share? And all the because it could be mechanical, it could be publishing, it could be performance royalties.
All I read was you can give your royalties, and I was like, oh, that sounds good, cool. Do I know anything deeper than that? No.
That's the thing.
And also, I would love to do that. I would love to offer people a percentage of the royalty, and that sounds all nice and sweet, but like we're not making any money in royalties right now. I mean, I'm sure I have like 80 cents from Spotify right now. Like, I mean, our streams aren't really crazy big right now, but in a couple years, that's something that might be lucrative to somebody. But
we just spoke on the show not long ago, a couple episodes ago, about how many streams does it take to make $1.
Right.
With all the different societies. And we were shocked that YouTube Music takes 1,200 streams to make $1.
It's insane,
so
right?
It's crazy,
I mean, come on.
Wow.
It doesn't make much sense.
That's why I'm really excited about it and bullish on like NFTs, because it's like you and the person and that's it, right? There's no intermediate other people, right? But what's tough with the royalty game is that because even the societies themselves, they haven't caught up. They're not going to catch up as fast as you need to. So like... Right. When Spotify pays CD Baby or whoever your distributor is,
right?
How do they know? Are they going to be able to split it to whoever owns that NFT? So it's like I think that by the time they catch up, NFTs are going to already be something else, right? So we got to be a little more creative on like, because like you could always offer like there's any show, you have access to any show, or you have access, there's so many other things.
that's more along the lines of what would make sense for our Kickstarter campaign. Should that be something that we start pursuing, as merch and in getting custom access. One of the things that I did, not like a Patreon level, but I recorded 3 songs acoustically in the same studio that I do all the other stuff at in Jersey with Nick, just for the simple fact of this will be bonus material for the Kickstarter. If you donate X amount of dollars, we're going to give you access to this acoustic version of one of the old songs that nobody else gets. This won't be on Spotify. This will be
That's
a personal download that you get. And, we're also, there was one song that we recorded that was a B-side. I never wrote horns to it. And it's a good like pop punk song. But when we were listening to the rest of the record, we were like, this song is good, it's cool, but I don't know if it really makes sense with the rest of the songs as a collection.
Right.
Got this really great, fully produced, mixed and mastered song that I'm going to offer as a B-side too for anybody. It's if you like Title Holder, you're not going to not like this song. You're just, people who are really into it are going to be like, this isn't a ska song, but it's a song. It's cool. So stuff like that, high quality things that will, give value back to people who are donating.
No doubt. One last thing I really wanted to know, going with Joe's question about the NFTs and all that, another big thing taking music by storm is AI and the sort of the artificial intelligence taking over the algorithms to see apparently what music is most like radio hits so they can help find the next big artists. Also, AI production in music. I'm just wondering how you feel about that. Do you think it will ruin music if it's mostly artificially produced, or do you think it needs that human touch to it to be good?
A human touch is always going to be great, but a lot of people, I don't know. If you wanted to do the Pepsi challenge with a room of people and tell them all to close their eyes and play 2 songs for them and ask them which one they think was the person and which one they think was the robot, I guarantee you nobody, half the room would get it right because they guessed.
That's a good point.
And that's also to say, like when I'm working with a producer, we're listening to a half a dozen songs that are my favorite, and we're looking at that schematic of, intro, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, and we're kind of basing how I write songs off of, what's already been done before. I'm not like reinventing the wheel with anything I'm doing songwriting wise. So if a computer's doing it, it's like a calculator. They're probably doing it faster and better than I am anyways. But
Interesting.
I think the human touch is always going to give you a leg up, where you have a real person, you have a real story, you have a real heart, you've got engagement that you can put out there in the world and grab an audience. If I'm just Matt's computer that just put out a hit record, you're going to have to work a lot harder for people to care about whatever, a computer is doing.
That's a good point.
That's the idea, it's cool. If I could put all my songs into a database and have it just keep launching new versions of those songs, I might hear something and go, damn, that's way better than what I could do.
Yeah. Take off on that.
That's what I'm afraid of, because 20 years ago, plugins and all that stuff, people were like, oh, it's never going to get close to the hardware. And today,
look at that.
Yeah.
I bought a $250 Universal Audio plugin rather than the $2,000 unit, because
there you go.
I can fit it right here.
That's the way to do it.
That, but you can use, depending on your processing power, you can have 10 of them. You can't have 10 of the hardware unit. It would cost you whatever, right?
Exactly. No, I think we're living in an exciting time, and it's only going to get cooler and more convoluted. But
yes, both of those things simultaneously, I could definitely see that coming. So what's next for Title Holder, man? I know you guys are probably excited to do more shows based on the first show going well.
Yeah. We're so right now the outline is end of this month, end of January, we've got a new song coming out called It Doesn't Matter. That one's not going to have any video content, but like I was talking about before, I'm planning on releasing like a behind the scenes of the Hanging by the Thread video. So that'll be in the next 2 to 3 weeks. along with the release of this new single, we're scheduled for another single to come out at the end of February. And then end of March, we head back in the studio with Nick Braziz to work on 5 more songs. April 23rd is going to actually be our second show. There's this awesome festival that's happening in like right outside of Philadelphia called This Is Not Croydon Fest 3. And I was like bugging out. So I get this email 2 months ago from a guy on the internet, and he says, "Hey, I just discovered your band. I think you'd be a great fit on this bill. Let me know if it's something that you would want to be a part of." And I looked at the list of bands that are on this bill, and I immediately said, like sent a message out to my friends, like, who's messing with me right now on the internet? So this bill is like the who's who of like ska bands from the 90s to now. The Pie Tasters, Mustard Plug, Mephistopheles, Spring-Heeled Jack, Catbite, Jay Navarro and the Traders, The Best of the Worst. And then right in the very beginning of the day is going to be Title Holder.
Wow.
I'm like blown away by that lineup. And it's the first show in this area in Philadelphia. It's right outside of Philly. It's at this place called Broken Goblet Brewing Co. It's like a brewery that has a big sound stage attached to it. It's going to be the first show that they've had. Yeah. First show that they've had in these doors since the pandemic. So we're looking at least 500 or 600 people for sure to,
man,
I cannot
that's
wait.
going to be killer, dude.
Yeah.
Really exciting. Well, we definitely want everybody to go check that out. Check out the links in the description. And Matt, thanks so much for joining us, man. It's been really cool to chat.
Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to come back.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Everything's just hanging by a thread.
Thank you to Title Holder for joining us on this week's episode of Innersleeve. And, that was a cool conversation. I felt like I really sort of got the inside drop, so to speak, on what's going on in maybe some of the more local Manhattan scenes.
Yeah, I really liked how he explained that, like, see, he pretty much does it himself, right, at home with his setup. And then, like, friends come, they help for drums, this, that, and this guy's like, I love this music. I get the horn section from this band, the guy from that band, like, and everybody just gets into it. And another cool thing was just like seeing like how an artist like that, like, you can do it, like it just takes time, and like his dedication to the quality. So he, like, when he said at one point, he says, if I spend $500 recording, mixing, and mastering a song, I'm going to spend $500 promoting it. Right. And a lot of people think, myself included at a certain point, it's like, I just paying for promotion. That's cheating kind of thing. But it's not. It's sort of like you have to play that game now because there's just too many people in the mix, and you just got to stand out somehow. So it's like there's nothing wrong with putting a bit of money and try to get your views up and get a new audience. Now, if it's like you said, if it's just for views, that's one thing. But he's trying to build an audience, a community. So that's sort of like, how you have to go about it. A lot of late nights, emailing playlist sites or channels. He hit up SoundMojo, so now he's on SoundMojo, and like, we're promoting him and stuff. So
a lot of digging, he's a guy who, it strikes me that he always is looking for what's next. And, that's something that I think you need, whether it's a band or a team. You need people who are always looking for what's next, what are we going to do next, and not just sort of in that complacent attitude.
Yeah, and like he's not afraid to get his hands dirty.
Exactly.
Like,
going to find people, calling people, making arrangements. It's really cool too. It's one thing to have an idea that, okay, I want a live band and I want people playing saxophone and stuff. It's another thing to actually go find that, facilitate it, record it. I think it takes a lot more than people kind of realize.
That's what I like about bringing independent artists on the show, because you get to see where the cliche term grassroots and all that stuff. You get to see what these guys have to deal with. It's not anymore just about like, you have to have a great product. At the end of the day, it's got to be a great song, whatever, maybe a great video. And his videos are great. I enjoy each one of them, especially the Tony Hawk one where he's playing while he's singing kind of thing, the song. But it's not easy, man. It's not easy. So it's like, we're all used to seeing this whole Beyonce and like that kind of stuff where they have money and they got billions of streams and then they're on this, and like this is where
big
it starts.
team.
This is exactly right. This is where it starts. It's one guy and his wife. His wife gave him the idea. This is you should do more of this. Boom. Then next thing you know, he's. I have no doubt that like if all restrictions loosen up and everything, this guy's going to be on tour for a good while.
Yeah,
playing his music.
Absolutely. And you guys should definitely check him out when that day does come. We have all the links in the description below on the video version or the audio version. And whichever version you're currently tuned into, please make sure to subscribe on that platform. We just passed 25K on YouTube. If you missed that, thanks again. We really appreciate it. Let's get that up to 30K. Road to 30, right, Joe? We're getting there.
We're getting there. We got an extra 200 subscribers since hitting 25. We're just, we appreciate everybody. It's not like we're just looking like Daniel Ek from Spotify. We're just looking for numbers, No, we want engagement, the audience. I love the comments that are coming in for the Steve Vai stuff. I love the comments that are coming in for some of the artists, even a video I put 2 years ago, people are still discovering it and saying, oh, wow, thank you. Even just this morning, I got somebody saying, man, Watch Mojo's been giving me like my playlist for the last year or so,
Nice.
So it's good to hear kind of stuff like that, So, we just want to get artists out there. We just want to help them. We want to, get you guys maybe some artists that you've never heard of or never would have heard of, right? If it wasn't for the show and even just the content, we're always looking for, like you said, what's next, right? So the NFT space, the crypto space, what's happening, right? Biopics are a thing now. We're going to see a lot more of them because all the legends are sort of fading away or dying, unfortunately.
Sad but true.
But there's a lot of good content for us, like that we wanna approach, like we've said in the past, be it recording studio stuff, being it a manufacturing of guitars or instruments or software coders, all that stuff. We just want to tackle it all.
And it's all coming down the pipe, so make sure to stay tuned and make sure to follow us also on social media at SoundMojo. You can find content almost every single day on all those platforms, and that is TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and of course the YouTube page. And thanks so much for checking in with us on episode number 60 of Innersleeve. We'll catch you guys next week.